This isn't the story of Roman soldiers you've heard before. Forget everything you think you know about the brutal, short, miserable lives of ancient warriors. The reality of being a Roman legionnaire was so much better than popular culture would have you believe that it might just change how you think about the entire Roman Empire. These weren't desperate men fighting for mere survival. They were members of the world's first truly professional military, living lives that most civilians of their time could only dream of. Marcus represents one of roughly 400,000 Roman soldiers who, at the height of the empire, enjoyed privileges, protections, and opportunities that wouldn't be seen again in Europe for over 1,000 years. His story, based on archaeological evidence, historical records, and the writings of the soldiers themselves, reveals a truth that will astonish you. Being a Roman soldier was actually one of the best jobs you could have in the ancient world. Let's start with the most shocking revelation. Roman soldiers were rich. Not just comfortable, but genuinely wealthy by the standards of their time. Marcus earns 900 denarii per year as a standard legionnaire, which is 3 times more than the average civilian worker. But here's where it gets really interesting. That's just his base salary. On top of that, he receives regular bonuses called donatives, especially when a new emperor takes power or after successful campaigns. When Emperor Trajan conquered Dacia, soldiers like Marcus received bonuses equivalent to several years' salary. Some soldiers accumulated enough wealth to buy multiple properties, own slaves, and live like aristocrats after their service. But the Romans were clever. They didn't just pay their soldiers well, they created the world's first comprehensive benefits package. Every Roman soldier received free housing, free food, free medical care, and free equipment. Imagine explaining to someone from the medieval period that these ancient soldiers had universal health care, guaranteed housing, and a pension plan. They'd think you were describing paradise. The housing alone would make modern military personnel jealous. Roman military barracks weren't cramped, dirty hovels. They were well-engineered stone buildings with underfloor heating systems called hypocausts, running water, and even private rooms for senior soldiers. The fortresses were like small cities, complete with bathhouses, hospitals, amphitheaters, and shopping districts. Marcus lives in a room that's warm in winter, cool in summer, and more hygienic than most civilian homes of the era. And the food. Oh, the food! Roman military cuisine was so good that civilian populations often tried to copy it. Soldiers received daily rations that included wheat, wine, olive oil, salt, meat, and vegetables. Military cooks, called koki, were skilled professionals who prepared elaborate meals. Archaeological evidence from military sites shows remains of exotic spices, imported delicacies, and evidence of sophisticated cooking techniques. Roman soldiers ate better than medieval kings would centuries later. The medical care was revolutionary for its time. Every Roman legion had trained medics called medici and fully equipped field hospitals called valetudinaria. These weren't primitive first aid stations. They were sophisticated medical facilities with surgical instruments that wouldn't look out of place in a modern museum of medical history. Roman military doctors performed complex surgeries, set broken bones with remarkable skill, and had access to medical knowledge that surpassed anything available to civilians. Soldiers received treatment for everything from battle wounds to common illnesses, and the survival rates were astonishingly high for the ancient world. But perhaps the most attractive aspect of Roman military life was the social mobility it offered. Marcus comes from a farming family in Gaul. In civilian life, he would have been stuck as a peasant farmer for his entire existence. But the Roman military was a meritocracy where talent and courage could elevate you to heights unimaginable in civilian society. Soldiers could rise through the ranks to become centurions, earning salaries 15 times higher than basic legionnaires. Some rose even higher, becoming camp prefects or even provincial governors. The military offered a path from poverty to prestige that simply didn't exist anywhere else in the ancient world. The training that made Roman soldiers legendary wasn't just about combat. It was about creating Renaissance men of war. Roman soldiers learned engineering, construction, mathematics, logistics, and administration. They built roads, bridges, aqueducts, and fortifications that still stand today. Marcus can survey land, design fortifications, manage supply chains, and lead men in both peace and war. These skills made Roman veterans incredibly valuable in civilian life after their service, almost guaranteeing them prosperous post-military careers. The famous Roman discipline that struck fear into enemies was actually a source of pride and security for the soldiers themselves. The strict organization meant that everyone knew their role, supplies always arrived on time, and no soldier was left behind. Roman military logistics were so advanced that soldiers in Britain could count on receiving olive oil from Spain and wine from Gaul with clockwork regularity. This reliability extended to everything: pay, food, equipment, medical care, and support for their families. Speaking of families, Roman soldiers were allowed to have relationships and own property, despite official restrictions on marriage during service. Many maintained common-law relationships and had children who were well provided for. The military provided family support systems that ensured soldiers' loved ones were cared for even during long campaigns. After retirement, soldiers received full marriage rights and their children could inherit their wealth and property. The retirement benefits were extraordinary for the ancient world. After 25 years of service, Roman soldiers received a pension called a premium that could include land grants, cash payments, or both. These weren't small plots of marginal land. They were substantial farms or properties that could support a family in comfort for generations. Many veterans became prominent citizens in their retirement communities, respected for their service and prosperous from their military earnings. The technological advantages Roman soldiers enjoyed would have seemed like magic to their enemies. Their armor was lightweight yet incredibly protective. Their weapons were precision-engineered for maximum effectiveness, and their equipment was standardized and interchangeable. Roman military engineers constantly innovated, creating siege engines, defensive works, and battlefield technologies that gave their soldiers overwhelming advantages. Fighting as a Roman soldier meant having the best equipment that ancient technology could produce. Roman military camps were marvels of engineering and organization. Every camp, whether temporary or permanent, followed the same layout, so soldiers always knew where everything was located. They featured sophisticated water and sewage systems, defensive works that incorporated the latest military thinking, and amenities that made camp life comfortable. Temporary camps built for just one night included features that many medieval castles would lack centuries later. The medical innovations developed for Roman soldiers revolutionized ancient healthcare. Military doctors pioneered surgical techniques, developed new medicines, and created treatment protocols that saved thousands of lives. The Roman military medical corps was so advanced that their methods were copied throughout the empire and beyond. Soldiers had access to medical care that was centuries ahead of what was available to most civilians. The esprit de corps among Roman soldiers was legendary, and for good reason. The military created bonds of brotherhood that lasted lifetimes. Soldiers fought not just for Rome, but for each other. The unit cohesion was so strong that Roman formations could execute complex maneuvers under extreme stress that lesser armies couldn't manage in perfect conditions. This brotherhood extended beyond active service. Of veteran networks provided business opportunities, political connections, and mutual support that lasted throughout their lives. Roman soldiers were also scholars and artists. Many were literate, which was rare in the ancient world. They wrote letters, kept diaries, and some even composed poetry. Archaeological excavations of Roman military sites have uncovered writing tablets, personal letters, and even graffiti that shows soldiers discussing philosophy, literature, and art. The military encouraged intellectual development, recognizing that smart soldiers were better soldiers. The geographic opportunities available to Roman soldiers were unparalleled in human history up to that point. Marcus might serve in Britain, Egypt, Spain, and Germany during his career, seeing more of the world than most people today. Roman soldiers experienced different cultures, learned new languages, and gained perspectives that made them sophisticated global citizens. Many chose to settle in distant provinces after retirement, becoming bridges between different cultures within the Roman world. The legal protections enjoyed by Roman soldiers were remarkable for their time. Military law provided clear procedures for everything from disciplinary action to inheritance rights. Soldiers had legal recourse against unfair treatment, and their rights were protected by a sophisticated military justice system. The famous Roman legal traditions that influence modern law systems were first developed and refined in military contexts. Religious freedom was another unexpected benefit of Roman military service. While soldiers participated in official military religious ceremonies, they were generally free to worship whatever gods they chose in their personal time. Roman military sites show evidence of temples and shrines to dozens of different deities from across the empire. This religious tolerance created diverse, cosmopolitan communities within military units. The economic impact of Roman military service extended far beyond individual soldiers. Military settlements became thriving commercial centers that attracted merchants, craftsmen, and entrepreneurs. Soldiers were major consumers who created demand for goods and services, stimulating local economies wherever they were stationed. Many civilian communities competed to host Roman garrisons because of the economic benefits they brought. The engineering projects undertaken by Roman soldiers were so impressive that they still inspire awe today. Hadrian's Wall, the Rhine fortifications, and countless roads, bridges, and aqueducts were built by soldiers who were as skilled with construction tools as they were with weapons. These projects provided valuable civilian infrastructure while giving soldiers practical skills they could use after retirement. The international nature of the Roman military created unprecedented cultural exchange. Marcus might serve alongside soldiers from Africa, Spain, Britain, and the Eastern Mediterranean. This diversity meant Roman military units were melting pots of ideas, techniques, and traditions. Soldiers learned from each other, creating innovations in tactics, technology, and daily life that benefited the entire empire. Roman military intelligence networks were sophisticated systems that kept soldiers informed about political developments, economic opportunities, and potential threats. Soldiers weren't isolated from the broader world. They were plugged into information networks that spanned continents. This access to information gave them advantages in both military and civilian contexts that were unimaginable for most people of their time. The recreational opportunities available to Roman soldiers would surprise many modern people. Military bases featured gymnasiums, libraries, theaters, and sports facilities. Soldiers organized competitions, festivals, and entertainment that rivaled anything available in civilian communities. The famous Roman baths weren't just for cleanliness. They were social centers where soldiers relaxed, conducted business, and maintained the social connections that were so important to Roman culture. The craftsmanship skills developed in military service created opportunities for lucrative post-retirement careers. Roman soldiers learned metalworking, leathercraft, woodworking, and dozens of other skilled trades. Many became successful artisans, contractors, or manufacturers after their military service. The combination of technical skills, organizational experience, and financial resources made Roman veterans natural entrepreneurs. The travel opportunities alone made military service attractive to adventurous young men. In an age when most people never traveled more than a few miles from their birthplace, Roman soldiers saw exotic lands, experienced different climates, and encountered civilizations that most of their contemporaries only heard about in stories. This exposure to the wider world made them sophisticated, knowledgeable, and valuable members of society. Roman military medicine wasn't just about treating wounds. It was about optimizing human performance. Military doctors studied nutrition, physical conditioning, and mental health in ways that wouldn't be seen again until modern times. Soldiers received dietary supplements, participated in carefully designed fitness programs, and had access to mental health support that helped them cope with the stresses of military life. The technological innovations constantly flowing through the Roman military meant soldiers always had access to the latest and best equipment. Roman military workshops were research and development centers that produced advances in metallurgy, engineering, and manufacturing. Soldiers didn't just use this technology. Many contributed to its development, earning recognition and rewards for their innovations. The administrative skills required for military service prepared soldiers for successful civilian careers in government, business, and law. Roman military units were complex organizations that required sophisticated management systems. Soldiers learned accounting, logistics, personnel management, and strategic planning skills that were incredibly valuable in the civilian world. The network effects of military service created opportunities that lasted generations. Roman veteran families often maintained connections to active duty units, creating business partnerships, marriage alliances, and political relationships that benefited entire family lines. Military service wasn't just a job, it was entry into an elite social network that provided advantages for life. The psychological benefits of Roman military service were significant in a world where most people lived with constant uncertainty about their futures. Soldiers knew they would be fed, housed, paid, and cared for as long as they served honorably. This security allowed them to plan for the future, invest in their families, and build wealth in ways that were impossible for most civilians. The respect and social status that came with military service elevated soldiers above their civilian origins. Roman soldiers were citizens with full legal rights, and their military service earned them additional respect and privileges. Veterans were sought after as marriage partners, business associates, and community leaders because of their proven character, financial resources, and valuable skills. The educational opportunities available through military service were extraordinary for the ancient world. Many soldiers learned to read and write during their service, skills that opened doors to advancement within the military and valuable careers after retirement. Military libraries contained works on strategy, engineering, medicine, and administration that provided ongoing education throughout a soldier's career. The international perspective gained through military service made Roman soldiers valuable intermediaries in trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. Their language skills, cultural knowledge, and extensive travel experience made them natural ambassadors, merchants, and administrators who could work effectively across the diverse regions of the empire. As Marcus finishes his 25 years of service and prepares for retirement to his villa in southern Gaul, surrounded by his children and grandchildren, managing his prosperous farm and his small but profitable pottery business, he reflects on a life that took him from a peasant's hut to prosperity and respect that his ancestors couldn't have imagined. His sons, inspired by his success and stories, are already planning their own military careers, knowing that service in the Roman legions offers opportunities for advancement, adventure, and prosperity that simply don't exist anywhere else in their world. The Roman military system created a cycle of success that benefited not just individual soldiers, but entire families, communities, and regions of the empire. It was a machine for turning peasants into professionals, creating skilled workers, generating wealth, and spreading Roman civilization across the known world. For young men with ambition and courage, there was simply no better path to a prosperous and meaningful life than service in the Roman legions. This is why the Roman Empire lasted for over 1,000 years and why Roman military traditions influenced every subsequent European military system. They didn't just create great soldiers, they created great citizens, and in doing so, they built a civilization that continues to inspire us today. The life of a Roman soldier wasn't just good, it was the foundation of one of history's greatest success stories.